Do you want to know the reasons why you should not move to Phoenix in 2022? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. Let's get to it.
That if you're relocating to an area, you want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly about that area, right? So that's exactly what we're talking about today. Make sure you stay till the end because we're giving you the #1 reason why you should not move to Phoenix, Arizona at the end. Let's get to it.
And by the way, if you're considering to move to Phoenix, we are licensed agents in the state of Arizona. So we love helping people find out if Phoenix is the right fit for them and helping them find their Arizona dream home. So if you're considering to move, reach out to us. There's a number below. In the next week, next day, next year, we're gonna be here. So give us a call, reach out to us, and we'll see if Phoenix is the right fit for you. And we're gonna tell you why you may not wanna move to Phoenix. Let's get started.
Reason #3, if you like rain or a lot of greenery, we don't think you should move to the Phoenix, Arizona area. We have a lot of rock, a lot of brown rock, a lot of red rock, and not a lot of greenery. I mean, it only rains an average of 8 inches a year. And so if you're coming from a place, I mean, we get this all the time, people that are moving from like Portland and Seattle areas, even parts of California, and then the Midwest, who experience a lot of rain or like more normal rain, and they come here and they're kind of surprised about the dryness, the lack of greenery, that everything's like red and brown. I mean, we've got the mountain behind us. We're here at Thunderbird Mountain Park in the Glendale area, and it is beautiful, but you have to kind of get used to this kind of scenery with like the brown and red rocks. And you know, there's a little bit of greenery. We've had a pretty good monsoon season where we get our storms, but that's not typical. Usually we get less rain than we have so far in our monsoon season. And so, you know, that's just a big consideration. If you're like, I need to have a bunch of green trees and greenery, and you know, you need that just because that's, you know, what you really like and what you're used to, Phoenix is probably not gonna be the good fit for you. Now, if you were to go a couple hours north to like Payson and Prescott areas, Flagstaff, outside of Sedona, not Sedona itself because that's a lot of red rock as well, those areas, although they're not in the major metro areas of Phoenix and surrounding, that could get you some more greenery. But if you are specifically looking at moving to Phoenix and, you know, greenery and a lot of plant life and having like a green yard is super important to you, that may be the first deal breaker that we think you should consider. I think it's something that can be overcome, but for some, you know, it's just, they find it really ugly and they just can't get used to it. So definitely keep that in consideration. We're gonna move on to #2 now.
Okay, reason #2 we think that you might not want to move to Phoenix is lack of community or neighborhood. So what we mean by that is if you come from like a small town or, you know, a place where you're used to waving and talking to your neighbors, and you know, you come home and you each go over there and you have a conversation and you know them, they know your kids, you guys hang out, you're probably not going to get that here for the most part. We do hear this a lot. It is hot here in the summer, in case you didn't know. And one of the things that we see a lot of, especially in the hotter months, is, you know, we don't have front porches here. We have garages. People got, you know, they drive in, they put their garage door up, they go in, they put the garage door down, and they get into their cool house. So we feel like depending on where you live, that could be a major issue. So if you're in an older, more established neighborhood, that's probably going to be a lot harder. And we do talk about this on some of our other videos. And one of the things that, and this is one of the reasons that we really love some of these master plan communities, although they are bigger, it just creates so much more opportunity for community. You know, they have a community center, usually in the center. They have a gathering space. They'll hold events for the community so you can get to know your neighbors. Even the way that they're building neighborhoods now is more community friendly, where, you know, it's not just a house, a driveway, garage. You know, sometimes they're building the houses closer together where you have more opportunity to have contact with your neighbor and creating, you know, having those little neighborhood parks. They'll have like a big community center, but then there's little neighborhood parks, different, you know, there'll be a dog park, and maybe there'll be a park down the street that has cornhole, or maybe there'll be one that has a fire pit, things like that, for opportunities for the community to gather and really have that sense of community and camaraderie. And the other thing too is you don't see a lot of your neighbors helping neighbors here. We just tend to really kind of keep to ourselves, and we're not sure why that is here in Arizona, but we do hear this from a lot of people. You know, if you're used to that, that's something that you need to keep in mind, because you do need to be very intentional about creating those relationships and communities. So that's just something to keep in mind. Reason number 2 why you might not want to move to Phoenix. Stay tuned for reason number 1.
Okay, reason number 1 why you should not move to Phoenix, Arizona. And we think this is a big one. So many people, I think, have a kind of like culture shock when they move here, that they don't realize Phoenix is a large, growing metropolitan area. Obviously, you don't have to move into the heart of downtown Phoenix, and most of our clients don't really want to. We don't work that area really at all. You know, typically none of our clients are really looking for that downtown lifestyle, although we do have some of that here in Phoenix. But even with the suburbs, you know, they're big, they're growing, there's a lot of expansion happening, there's a lot of new construction, a lot of companies moving into the Phoenix area, a lot of people moving from other states, the Northwest, so Oregon, Seattle, we have people moving from California, obviously, all across the country, not just Arizona. And we also have people from Chicago and Minnesota and, you know, these colder states, and then people that are retiring here in Phoenix and Arizona in general. And so many people come here and they don't realize that that's what they're getting themselves into. They have this notion that Phoenix is a smaller area. It's, you know, it's gonna be like the wild, wild west. And the fact is that we have just so much expansion happening, so much growth over the last, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 years even, that even if you experienced Phoenix, Arizona 10 to 20 years ago, it's going to be completely different than it was back then. And I think so many people don't realize that Phoenix has been in the top 5, you know, metro cities growing. And so for a lot of our clients, they either move from like one of 2 situations. They move from a major city where there's a lot of things going on that they're maybe not, you know, really happy with, or it's the weather or the cost that's getting them, and they're like, hey, I need to move out of San Francisco, I need to move out of LA, I need to move out of Seattle, or I need to move out of the, you know, Portland area. I'm not liking what's going on, the weather's not for me, the cost is not for me. Or we have people moving from smaller towns, you know, in the Midwest, and they think, they're like, okay, yeah, it's bigger than where I'm moving from, but they don't realize how big. Yeah, it's like, what we've experienced with not just our clients, but just people that we run into, is that they're like, dang, I was not expecting this kind of lifestyle. I wasn't expecting the city lifestyle. I'm like, this is a city, and it's just really spread out. You know, Phoenix grows, typically it grows out rather than up, you know, in like the skyscrapers and things like that. And so we just think that, you know, while I think you can learn to love it and you can learn to love the suburb areas, and there's still things to do and activities and, you know, the outdoor lifestyle and whatnot, we still think that you need to be prepared really for a large growing metro city. And honestly, that growth isn't really stopping. We have so many companies moving here. We have so many people moving here. We have businesses coming, jobs coming, hospitals being built, large companies moving in facilities and bringing in jobs. And with that means people have to move here to fill those jobs. And there's a lot going on. And so we don't say that to discourage you. We just want you to know really how much Phoenix is different, I think, than what people perceive, and just to be prepared for the city lifestyle. And if you're like, absolutely not, I want to go to a small town, you probably, if you want to move to Arizona specifically, you probably need to go somewhere north, like 2 to 4 hours north of the Phoenix metro area, because that is going to get you a smaller town feel without actually, you know,
being in a big, huge city.
Right, being in a city and being too close to the city where you're like, oh, the city it's growing, it's encroaching on my small town, you know? So obviously there's a lot to love about Phoenix, but if you're not into the city lifestyle and you don't want to get used to it, or you're done with the city lifestyle from wherever you're moving to, just know that Phoenix is a large growing metropolitan area. There's a lot of expansion happening. We've been expanding for a long time as well. And so you need to be prepared for that. And if you're not into the city lifestyle, we need to help you find a house somewhere else in the state of Arizona, or maybe somewhere else in the country entirely, to get you a smaller town feel. Of course, if you're moving here to Phoenix, Arizona, or you're planning a move, please contact us. We would love to help you get to know your lifestyle, your needs, your budget, and help you determine what is going to be the best area and home and neighborhood for you. So there's information down below in the comments, in the description, and also popping up here on the screen. You can DM us, text us, call us, email, whatever your preference. Even if you're moving in 1 to 2 weeks, a month to 2 months, or 1 to 2 years, it doesn't matter your timeline to us. We are here for you. And of course, don't forget to hit that notification bell and the subscribe button so that you can continue to learn all about living in Phoenix and the Phoenix, Arizona real estate market.